Hey guys, tonight we're not just drifting into sleep, we're stepping back through the mists of time, all the way to ancient Greece, where the sea whispers secrets and the fates weave threads of unimaginable power. Imagine the salty air on your face, the gentle rocking of waves beneath a star-dusted sky, as you witness the birth of a legend, a hero destined for unparalleled glory, and an equally unparalleled, heartbreaking flaw. This isn't just a story about a strong warrior, it's about the cruel irony of destiny, about how your greatest protection can become your most profound undoing. It's a tale that serves as a chilling reminder that even if you were dipped in divine waters, one tiny oversight, one forgotten detail, could absolutely spell your doom in the most dramatic fashion possible. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're settling in somewhere specific tonight, let me know your location and the time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You lie in the cradle, a tiny squalling bundle, yet already the fates have spun their intricate web around you. Your mother, Thetis, a shimmering sea nymph, gazes upon you with a mixture of immense love and profound dread. She knows the prophecies that swirl like sea foam around your nascent life, a future of unparalleled glory on the battlefield, a name whispered through eternity, but also a life tragically short, ending in a blaze of combat. It's a bitter choice, isn't it? A long, unremarkable life, or a short, incandescent one. Thetis, ever the devoted mother, seeks to cheat the thread spun by the Moirai. She holds you, not as a helpless infant, but as a vessel for a grand, terrible destiny, and she is determined to alter its course. Her solution, or so she believes, is simple yet audacious immortality, not the true, godlike immortality of Olympus, but an invulnerability that would render you untouchable by mortal blades, by the sharp bite of bronze. She carries you to the underworld, to the Styx, that swirling black river that separates the living from the dead, its waters imbued with an ancient, formidable power. It's said that even the gods themselves swear oaths upon the Styx, oaths so binding that to break them invites divine wrath and a year of voiceless exile. The very thought sends a shiver down your spine, doesn't it, to plunge into such a river, to expose an infant to its chilling embrace. Imagine the scene. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and heavy, a profound stillness that only the realm of the dead can possess. Thetis, her form luminous even in the gloom, stands on the banks. She holds you by your heel, that small, vulnerable part of your foot, and lowers you, head first, into the inky depths. You gasp, perhaps a tiny silent cry, as the frigid water washes over your small body, saturating every inch of your skin, every bone, every sinew, with its protective, impenetrable essence. The Styx embraces you, transforms you, makes you impervious to harm. But then, she pulls you out, dripping and pristine, your skin now gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. And there it is, the one spot, the place where her thumb and forefinger held you tight. That one, small, untainted patch of flesh. It wasn't carelessness, not truly. It was the only way to hold you without dropping you into the powerful current. It was a necessity, a single, mortal flaw in an otherwise perfectly shielded being. You wouldn't know it then. Of course, you're just a baby, crying for warmth, for your mother's comfort, but that heel, that unassuming part of your foot, has already been marked. It's a silent, terrible foreshadowing, a ticking clock hidden in the plain sight, a secret whispered by the river itself. This ritual, this desperate act of maternal love, is your original sin, your cosmic irony, your set apart, destined to be a beacon of strength, a living weapon yet also a stark reminder that no matter how hard you try to escape it, destiny often finds a loophole. It's like trying to perfectly waterproof a boat, but forgetting to seal one tiny rivet. You'll float for a while, you'll sail across vast oceans, but eventually, inevitably, that one small oversight will let the water in, and for you, that water will be the dark, cold hand of fate. As you grow, the tales of your divine origins, of your dip in the Styx, spread like wildfire. You become the subject of hushed whispers, of awestruck admiration. Your mother, still trying to steer you away from your fated glory and early death, sends you away. Far from the temptations of war, you are placed under the tutelage of Chiron, the wise centaur, a mentor to many of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology. He's not just a teacher, he's a living legend, a bridge between the mortal and divine worlds. He teaches you not only the arts of war, how to wield a sword with lethal precision, how to throw a spear with unerring accuracy, how to fight with the ferocity of a lion, but also the arts of healing, of music, of understanding the natural world. He attempts to temper the fierce spirit within you, to provide you with the wisdom to navigate the treacherous currents of your future. You learn to hunt, tracking wild boars through thick forests, your footsteps light, your movements silent. You learn to fight, sparring with other demigods and heroes in training, quickly proving yourself superior. Your strength is prodigious, your speed breathtaking. You move like a phantom, strike with the force of a thunderbolt. The other students, even those far older and more experienced, watch you with a mixture of envy and respect. You are a natural, a prodigy, a force of nature in a human form, and with every lesson, every successful hunt, every victorious spar, your confidence grows. The world seems to bend to your will. You are the embodiment of strength, of youthful invincibility. Yet, even as you master the bow and arrow, the spear and shield, the fundamental truth remains: one small part of you is still utterly, frighteningly human. You could step on a sharp rock and wince, just like anyone else. A splinter could find purchase in that one spot. It's an almost comical vulnerability, a whispered secret that only the gods and your mother truly understand. The rest of your body might deflect a sword blow like it was nothing. But a well-aimed pebble, if it hit that spot, would feel like a hammer blow. It's the kind of detail that makes you shake your head, isn't it? The universe, it seems, loves its ironic twists. Academically, your instructors, particularly Chiron, struggle to impart the full weight of ethical considerations when it comes to a warrior as formidable as you. Historians still debate whether Chiron fully grasped the extent of your invulnerability, or if he simply focused on honing your skills, trusting fate to play out. Did he ever, even once, try to test the limits of your protected skin? Did he warn you, with solemnity, about that one single point of weakness? Or was it an open secret, too terrible to speak aloud, too abstract to worry about in the daily grind of training? You can almost hear the centaur's deep voice, calm and measured, teaching you humility, even as your natural prowess would suggest you need none. You are being groomed for greatness, for the grand stage of epic conflict. Your skills are honed to a razor's edge, your spirit forged in the fires of rigorous discipline. You are destined to be the greatest warrior of your age, a legend in your own time, and for all time after. The stories of your feats of strength, even in your youth, begin to filter through the mortal world. You wrestle a lion into submission with your bare hands. You outrun the fastest deer in the forest. You master every weapon, every fighting technique, with an uncanny ease. Your very presence radiates power, a quiet, undeniable authority. But that small patch of skin, nestled at the back of your foot, remains stubbornly, achingly vulnerable. It's a constant, silent reminder that even heroes of your caliber are not truly divine, not truly immune to the whims of fate. It's the universe's way of saying, yes, you are magnificent, but do not forget your roots, do not forget the earth from which you sprang, and to which you shall one day return. It's the kind of dark humour that ancient myth excels at the greatest strength, born from a desperate act of love, contains the seed of its own destruction, all because of a mother's grip. It's a subtle, almost imperceptible whisper in the grand symphony of your burgeoning life, a dissonant note that no one else hears, but which will eventually swell to a roar. You are growing into a magnificent specimen of a warrior, your body a finely tuned instrument of war, your mind sharp, your reflexes lightning quick. You are the perfect soldier, the ideal hero, but you are not perfect, you are not truly invincible, and that one small, unguarded spot will follow you, a tiny, almost invisible shadow, across every battlefield, through every triumph, until it finally finds its terrible, inevitable moment in the sun. It's the ultimate punchline to a cosmic joke, a constant, low thrum beneath the surface of your extraordinary life. You stride through your youth, a magnificent figure, already a legend in the making. The rigorous training under Chiron has forged your body into a weapon, your mind into a strategist's tool. You are quick, powerful, and seemingly fearless. Your skin, save for that one tiny spot, shrugs offer blows that would shatter bone or cleave flesh from any other mortal. It's an almost supernatural ability, isn't it, to walk through life essentially impervious to the common dangers that plague humanity? To know that most forms of harm simply cannot touch you. Imagine the quiet confidence that must instill, the almost serene detachment from fear in battle. This invulnerability, however, becomes a double-edged sword. It fosters a certain unconscious arrogance, a subtle shift in your perception of danger. Why worry about a stray arrow or a clumsy sword, thrust when your flesh is like tempered bronze? You move through the world with an almost careless grace, never truly needing to protect yourself in the way others must. You don't duck and weave out of necessity, you do it for show, or perhaps out of habit from your training. You are a predator, not prey, and the world seems to understand this. Other young heroes, even those who might aspire to your level, recognize the inherent difference. There's a certain aura about you, a sense of destiny that sets you apart. Yet, that one spot, that fateful mortal weakness, remains, is not something you consciously think about every day, much like you don't constantly ponder the fragility of your own heart or the necessity of breathing. It's simply there, an unacknowledged truth, a subtle background hum in the symphony of your exceptional life. It's the one crack in the divine armour, a tiny sliver of mortality that grounds you. Ironically, in the very human condition you seem to transcend. You might walk barefoot across rough terrain, feeling nothing, but a sharp stone hitting that exact spot would bring you up short with a gasp. It's an almost absurd weakness for someone so mighty, a punchline that only the fates truly appreciate. Your prowess is undeniable. Stories of your early triumphs begin to spread beyond the secluded training grounds of Chiron. You participate in minor skirmishes, local disputes, always emerging victorious, often effortlessly. You become a one-man army, capable of turning the tide of any conflict with your sheer presence. People begin to speak of you in hushed, reverent tones. You are the promised warrior, the one whose deeds will echo through the ages. The very air around you crackles with potential, with the promise of future glory. But this period also marks a critical development in your character, the growth of hubris. When every challenge is overcome, when every foe is vanquished with ease, when you rarely experience true pain or setback, it's easy to believe yourself beyond the reach of normal human frailties. You become accustomed to victory, to adulation, the concept of failure, of genuine defeat, becomes an abstract notion, something that happens to others. This isn't necessarily a malicious arrogance, but rather the natural outgrowth of unparalleled success combined with an unnatural invulnerability. It's a subtle trap, isn't it? The more invincible you appear, the less you might consider the one way you are not. The academic debate among historians often circles around this point. Did Achilles' invulnerability actually contribute to his ultimate downfall by making him less cautious? Or was his fate so meticulously woven that no amount of caution could have averted it? It's a classic chicken or egg scenario. Did your flaw truly exist because of your physical heel, or because of the psychological blind spot it fostered? Some argue that without the invulnerability, you would have learned caution, would have been more attuned to vulnerabilities, and thus perhaps survived longer. Others counter that the prophecy was absolute, and the heel was merely the physical manifestation of an inescapable end. It's a thorny question that keeps scholars up at night, pondering the cruel logic of destiny. You participate in expeditions, not just as a fighter, but as a leader. You learn to command men, to inspire them, to strategize. Your fame is such that others readily follow your lead, drawn by your magnetic presence and your reputation for unwavering success. There's a particular incident, perhaps a raid on a neighbouring village or a battle against mythical beasts, where you charge headlong into danger. Arrows pepper the air around you, swords clang against your body, but you simply push forward. Unharmed, a living embodiment of the divine, this apparent immunity solidifies your legend, cementing the belief in your peers that you are truly untouchable. You don't even bother to wear full greaves, the protective armour for your lower legs and feet, because why would you? It seems unnecessary, an encumbrance. This choice, seemingly trivial, is another quiet foreshadowing, a physical manifestation of your growing disregard for your own vulnerability. You're too busy being awesome to bother with such mundane concerns. Imagine the feeling of a spear glancing off your chest, leaving not even a scratch, the dull thud of an arrow impacting your thigh, only to fall harmlessly to the ground. It's liberating, terrifyingly so. It breeds a sense of detachment from the brutal realities of war. While your comrades fall around you, bleeding, screaming, you remain whole, unblemished. This creates a psychological distance, a chasm between your experience of battle and theirs. You can afford to be reckless, to push harder, to take risks they cannot, and with each successful risk, your belief in your own invincibility deepens, unknowingly reinforcing the blind spot for your one true weakness. There's a popular historical anecdote, though its veracity is debated, that during one of your early campaigns, a particularly cunning enemy warrior, having heard whispers of your unearthly protection, attempted to trip you, aiming for your foot. You sidestepped him with a laugh, barely registering the intent. The warrior, frustrated, later reportedly lamented that it's impossible to wound a god. This minor incident, if it truly happened, is a fascinating detail. It suggests that knowledge of your invulnerability, and perhaps even its specific limitation, might have begun to circulate, albeit as mere rumour or improbable myth. But even if the enemy knew, how could they possibly pinpoint that one tiny target in the chaos of battle? It seems an insurmountable task. The relentless pursuit of glory, the constant seeking of challenges, becomes your driving force. You are driven by a need to prove your worth, not just to others, but to yourself. Perhaps it's a subconscious attempt to outrun the prophecy of an early death, to cram a lifetime of achievement into a compressed span. You are always pushing the limits, always seeking the next great feat. You are living the life of a hero, exactly as foretold. But with each step towards greater fame, you are also, inexorably, marching towards your doom. The shadow of your heel lengthens with every rising sun. Your early life is a masterclass in controlled power, a demonstration of raw potential. You are a meteor streaking across the sky, brilliant and unstoppable, but even a meteor eventually burns out, consumed by its own fiery passage, and for you, that burning will start, not with a grand explosion, but with a precise, almost surgical strike to the one place where the divine fire never touched. It's the ultimate lesson in the delicate balance of power and vulnerability, a reminder that even the strongest among us carry the seeds of their own undoing. Your reputation, once confined to the secluded training grounds and the hushed whispers of your family, now begins to truly explode across the Greek world. You are no longer just a prodigious student. You are a living legend, a name on the lips of kings and commoners alike. Your early triumphs, small skirmishes and localized conflicts serve as the proving ground for your unparalleled skills. You don't just win, you dominate. You move through battlefields like a force of nature, an unstoppable whirlwind of bronze and fury. The very sight of you strikes fear into the hearts of your enemies and inspires your allies to heights they never imagined possible. Imagine the roar of the crowd, the fervent cheers as you return from a victorious campaign, shield-bearers struggling to carry the spoils of war that are merely incidental to your glory. You are hailed as a demigod, a favoured son of Olympus, and perhaps, in your youthful exuberance, you begin to believe it yourself. The adulation is intoxicating, a heady wine that fuels your ambition and reinforces your sense of invincibility. You are the embodiment of the heroic ideal, the ultimate warrior, and every victory, every slain foe, every rescued town adds another brilliant facet to your already gleaming legend. This period of your life is marked by a series of increasingly significant military campaigns. You lead expeditions against troublesome brigands, unruly city-states, and even monstrous beasts that terrorize the countryside. In each instance, your strategic brilliance and unmatched combat prowess shine through. You are not merely strong, you are intelligent, capable of swift tactical decisions that turn the tide of battle. Your movements on the field are fluid, almost artistic, a deadly dance of steel and resolve. Your name, Achilles, becomes synonymous with victory. But with this rising fame comes a deepening of that inherent, ironic tragedy. The more you rely on your physical invulnerability, the more you unwittingly reinforce your reliance on it. Why bother with intricate defensive maneuvers when a direct charge is all that's needed? Why wear heavy, restrictive greaves to protect your lower legs when blades glance off your skin like water off stone? You become a living testament to the dangers of unchallenged power. The very thing that makes you so formidable also makes you complacent. Subtly, unconsciously, it's like having a superpower that lets you walk through walls, and then forgetting that stairs still exist. You just bypass the mundane, the careful. One particular incident stands out, a minor detail often overlooked in the grand sweep of your legend, but telling nonetheless. During a siege of a minor city, a well-placed archer, hidden high in the battlements, loosed an arrow that found its mark. It struck your calf, a solid hit. The arrow simply splintered against your skin, falling harmlessly. Your comrades gasped, but you merely glanced down, perhaps with a slight smirk. Before continuing your charge, however, in that fleeting moment, had the archer aimed just a fraction lower, had the arrow flown just a hair truer, had it hit that one specific spot? The thought is chilling. Isn't it a single, random projectile, completely by chance, could have undone everything? It highlights the knife edge upon which your incredible fortune truly balanced. Historians still debate whether Achilles ever truly acknowledged or feared his one vulnerability. Was he simply ignorant of its exact location, or did he deliberately push it from his mind? A subconscious coping mechanism for such a dire secret. Some scholars argue that a warrior of his intelligence and awareness must have been acutely aware, perhaps even developed a unique gait or stance to subconsciously protect it. Others suggest that his inherent hubris, born from his invulnerability, made him believe he was simply destined to be too fast, too skillful, too lucky for any enemy to exploit such a tiny flaw. It's a fascinating psychological puzzle. How does one live with a ticking time bomb embedded in their own body? Your triumphs lead you to greater renown, attracting the attention of powerful kings and leaders. You are courted, offered lavish gifts, and sought after for your unmatched military prowess. You are a commodity, a living legend, and your presence alone is enough to tip the scales in any conflict. You lead your own contingent of warriors, the Myrmidons, fierce and loyal fighters who emulate your ferocity, knowing that with you at their head. Victory is all but assured. They see your invulnerability as a divine blessing, a sign that the gods themselves favour your cause, and in their eyes your back, your sides, your limbs are all equally impenetrable. They never imagine the single, crucial exception. There's a subtle, almost humorous irony in your approach to battle. While other heroes might spend hours polishing their full sets of armour, ensuring every joint and plate is secure, you might skip a piece here or there, finding it cumbersome. Greaves, the leg armour, might be worn loosely, or perhaps not at all, particularly around the lower ankle. Why bother with such meticulous protection for a body that already possesses it? This isn't laziness. It's born from an honest assessment of your own unique physicality. You genuinely don't need the same level of protection, and yet, this logical conclusion, born from your great gift, becomes the very pathway to your doom. It's the kind of subtle oversight that real life often thrives on, far more chilling than a grand, obvious betrayal. You are living the dream of every young Greek warrior: fame, glory, the respect of your peers, the fear of your enemies. You are the archetype, the standard against which all others are measured. You stand tall, literally and figuratively, above the fray, seemingly untouchable. The world is your oyster, and you are taking it by storm. The whispers of your short life, the prophecy that shadowed your birth, become distant murmurs, easily drowned out by the thunderous applause of your adoring public. You are invincible, magnificent, and utterly unstoppable. However, beneath all that glory, like a tiny unhealed wound, lies the truth of your heel. Is not just a physical weakness, it's a symbolic one. It represents the inherent flaw in even the most perfect design, the unexpected consequence of trying to cheat fate. It's a quiet, insidious reminder that no matter how much you achieve, no matter how many victories you claim, the universe always has a way of reminding you of your own mortality, often in the most unexpected and precise manner possible. And as the grand tapestry of the Trojan War begins to unfold, drawing you inexorably towards its bloody shores, that tiny, unguarded patch of skin becomes a beacon, a silent invitation to the inevitable. It's waiting, patiently, for its moment to claim the greatest hero. The world, as you know it, is about to be irrevocably changed. The whispers of local skirmishes, the minor triumphs that have built your legend, are about to be dwarfed by a conflict of epic proportions. The stage is set for the Trojan War, a decade-long siege that will redefine heroism, solidify legends, and ultimately claim countless lives, including, tragically, your own. It's a war born from an abduction, a slight against honour, a woman named Helen, whose beauty launched 1,000 ships and, unbeknownst to many, began to tighten the noose around your fated existence. You are not just a warrior anymore. You are a prize, a necessity. The Greek kings, led by Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae, understand that without you, their chances of victory are dramatically diminished. Your reputation precedes you, a living testament to divine favour and unmatched skill. You are the hammer they need to break down the Troy's formidable walls, the sword that will cleave through their fiercest defenders. The call to arms reaches you, echoing through the peaceful valleys where you have honed your craft, disrupting the quiet life you might have otherwise chosen. Your mother, Thetis, ever vigilant and tormented by the prophecies she knows too well, tries one last, desperate attempt to avert your fate. She hides you. She disguises you as a girl, a handmaiden among the daughters of King Lycomedes on the island of Scyros. It's an almost comical scene. Isn't it the greatest warrior in all of Greece, renowned for his masculinity and prowess, dressed in women's clothes, trying to blend in among giggling maidens? Imagine the awkwardness, the constant fear of discovery, the inherent clash between your true nature and this forced disguise. It's a moment of profound vulnerability, not physical, but existential. You are removed from the battlefield, from the very purpose for which you were born, all in a mother's desperate hope to preserve your life. But destiny, as it often does, finds a way. The cunning Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and the shrewd Diomedes, king of Argos, are dispatched to find you. They know that no Greek coalition can succeed without the might of Achilles. They arrive at Scyros, presenting gifts to King Lycomedes' daughter's beautiful jewellery, fine silks, and strategically placed among them a gleaming sword and shield. It's a classic trick, a test designed to expose the true warrior beneath the disguise. And you, perhaps instinctively, perhaps just tired of the charade, instinctively reach for the weapons. The glint of bronze, the weight of the shield in your hand is an irresistible pull. The jig is up. Your true identity is revealed, and the path to Troy, once momentarily diverted, is now clear. You join the massive Greek fleet gathering at Aulis, a sight to behold. Thousands of ships, drawn from every corner of Greece, their sails billowing in the wind, their prows cutting through the waves. You are among the greatest heroes of your age, the wise Nestor, the mighty Ajax, the cunning Odysseus, and your dearest companion, Patroclus. There's a tangible excitement, a sense of shared purpose, and perhaps a touch of youthful naivete, that this grand enterprise will be swift and glorious. Little do you know, this assembly marks not just the beginning of a war, but the beginning of the slow, inevitable unfolding of your personal tragedy. As you sail towards Troy, the omens are already swirling, the wind dies, trapping the fleet at Aulis, a grim sign. The prophet Calchas reveals that the goddess Artemis demands a sacrifice to appease her wrath, Agamemnon's own daughter, Iphigenia. It's a horrific demand, a stark reminder of the cruelties and complexities that govern the mortal and immortal worlds. This act, the sacrifice of an innocent, foreshadows the many brutal sacrifices to come, including, eventually, your own. It's a dark stain on the Greek cause even before the first arrow is loosed against Troy's walls. Historians still fiercely debate the ethical implications of the Iphigenia sacrifice, and whether Achilles, despite his youth, actively protested or merely accepted it as a grim necessity for the war to proceed. Some argue that such an act should have, by rights, turned a hero of your stature away from the cause, given your later displays of empathy. Others suggest that the gravity of the mission, the honour code of the time, and the pervasive fear of divine wrath would have compelled even the most moral warrior to accept the prophet's pronouncement. It's a knotty problem, revealing the often brutal moral landscape of the ancient world. The long journey to Troy, the stops at various islands, the initial skirmishes, all serve to reinforce your reputation. You are at the forefront of every landing, every raid. Your battle cry strikes terror, your spear finds its mark with deadly precision. You are learning the true brutality of war, the grinding tedium, the fleeting moments of exhilaration, and the crushing weight of loss. Yet, through it all, your invulnerability remains your constant companion, your silent shield. You watch others fall, injured, dying, while you move through the carnage largely untouched, a ghost among the suffering. This constant exposure to the vulnerability of others juxtaposed with your own apparent immunity, only deepens that subtle, dangerous complacency regarding your own safety. You learn to fight aggressively, to take risks that would be suicidal for anyone else. You lead from the front, often charging into the densest part of the enemy lines, knowing that arrows will glance off your chest and swords will chip against your limbs. Your comrades look upon you with awe, perhaps even a touch of envy, as you emerge from the fray, bloodied only with the gore of your enemies, not your own. A particular incident, perhaps during a minor raid on a coastal town near Troy, illustrates this. You leap from your ship, spear in hand, leading the charge up the beach. An enemy warrior, desperate and well-trained, swings a heavy axe at your leg. It connects with a sickening thud, a blow that would sever a limb from any other man. But for you, it's just a dull impact. The axe head glances off your thigh, leaving no mark. You don't even break stride, simply dispatching the warrior with a swift counterattack. The brief thought that crosses your mind, if any, is not of danger, but of the axe's inadequacy, what you don't consider, what you simply cannot fathom in your invulnerable state. Is that had that axe swung just a few inches lower, aimed at that soft, unprotected skin of your heel, the story would have ended right there, before the main act had even truly begun. The journey to Troy is not just a physical one across the Aegean Sea, it is a psychological journey for you. You are embracing your destiny, stepping into the role you were born to play, the quiet life your mother sought for you. The years of disguised peace are now firmly behind you. You are a warrior, and the greatest war of your time calls to you. You feel the pull of glory, the intoxicating promise of immortality through legend. The die is cast, the ships are sailing, and the walls of Troy loom ever larger on the horizon, and with every league closer, with every gust of wind filling the sails, that small, soft spot on your heel is carried closer to its ultimate, terrible confrontation with fate. The plains before Troy stretch out before you, vast and ancient, a dusty canvas upon which legends will be etched in blood and bronze. The initial landings are brutal, a chaotic melee where the Greeks fight for every inch of sand, and it is here, in the very first moments of the Trojan War, that you truly cement your reputation as the greatest warrior of your age. You are everywhere at once, a blur of motion and steel, cutting down Trojans with ruthless efficiency. Your spear finds its mark again and again, your sword a relentless extension of your will. The sheer scale of the conflict, the raw brutality, might overwhelm lesser men. But for you, it feels almost like a natural element. You lead the charge, your myrmidons following your every command, a perfectly honed fighting machine. They see your invulnerability firsthand, a sight that must both inspire awe and perhaps a touch of terror. Arrows glance off your chest, swords shatter against your shield arm. You move through the thickest part of the fighting, seemingly untouched, a divine whirlwind. This initial period of the war is a relentless grind, a series of skirmishes and raids on Troy's allied cities, designed to weaken their supply lines and isolate the mighty citadel, and in every single one of these encounters, you are the spearhead, the instrument of destruction. Imagine the deafening roar of battle, the clash of metal on metal, the cries of the wounded. You are in the thick of it. Your senses heightened, your focus absolute. A Trojan warrior, brave but foolish, lunges at you, aiming for your leg, a common target in close combat. The blade connects. There's a dull thud, a metallic clang that reverberates through your arm, but you feel nothing, not a scratch. The warrior recoils in shock, his face a mask of disbelief. You simply turn, swift and deadly, and dispatch him. That fleeting moment, that brief interaction, underscores the terrible irony of your existence. You are so accustomed to shrugging off such blows that the very idea of genuine injury, of a blade penetrating your skin, seems absurd. You simply do not perceive the threat. because for 99.9% of your body, there isn't one. This constant, unyielding success fuels not only your renown but also a fierce, almost uncontrollable rage. It's a rage born not just from the heat of battle, but from the perceived slights, the injustices, the frustrations of a prolonged war, when the Greek leaders, particularly Agamemnon, begin to act with arrogance and disrespect. Your temper flares. You are a warrior of honour, and when that honour is slighted, your fury is boundless. This rage, while formidable on the battlefield, becomes a destructive force even within your own ranks. It is a defining characteristic, often overshadowing your strategic brilliance, or even your moments of surprising compassion. One of the most famous episodes that highlights this rage, and its devastating consequences, is your quarrel with Agamemnon after a successful raid. You are awarded a captive woman, Briseis, as a prize. She becomes your concubine, a valued companion. But when Agamemnon is forced to return his own prize, Chryseis, to her father to appease the god Apollo, he demands Briseis from you as compensation, a blatant abuse of power and a deep insult to your honour. Your fury is immediate and volcanic. You refuse to fight, withdrawing yourself and your myrmidons from the war, a decision that cripples the Greek forces and almost leads to their utter defeat. The precise psychological impact of the Briseis incident on Achilles is a subject of ongoing academic debate. Was his withdrawal purely an act of wounded pride, or was it a deeper rejection of Agamemnon's unjust authority and the corrupting nature of power? Some scholars argue that it revealed a profound moral compass, a refusal to fight for a cause that had so dishonoured him personally. Others believe it showcased the destructive hubris that stemmed from his unchallengeable power, a petulant refusal to submit to any authority, even that of the supreme commander. It's a moment that forces you to question the very nature of heroism. Is it always selfless? Or can it be tragically self-serving? Your absence from the battlefield is immediately and painfully felt by the Greeks. The Trojans, emboldened by your withdrawal, push them back to their ships, threatening to set fire to the entire fleet. The desperation grows. Your comrades, including the mighty Ajax and the cunning Odysseus, attempt to persuade you to return, offering lavish gifts and apologies. But your rage, stubborn and deeply rooted, prevents you from yielding. You are immovable, a force of nature more potent in its stillness than in its movement. This obstinacy, while rooted in a sense of justice, also highlights a rigidity that will, in time, contribute to your downfall. During this period of withdrawal, you spend your days on the beach, staring out at the sea, perhaps conversing with your mother, Thetis, who continues to mourn your inevitable fate. You hear the sounds of battle, the distant cries, the increasing desperation of your comrades, and yet you remain resolute, allowing your pride to override the desperate pleas of your allies. It's a powerful portrayal of a hero's complex inner world, where personal honour can outweigh the collective good. This prolonged period of inaction, for a warrior like you, must have been torment. You are born for battle, wired for conflict, and to sit idly by while your comrades suffer must have been a unique kind of agony, even if self-imposed. But your rage is a powerful master, blinding you to the consequences, deafening you to the pleas of those you care about. This fury, this all-consuming emotion, ironically makes you vulnerable in a way no sword or arrow ever could. It clouds your judgment, distorts your priorities, and pushes you towards a path of escalating tragedy. The climax of this period, and a truly pivotal moment in your story, comes when your beloved companion, Patroclus, can no longer bear to watch the Greeks suffering. He begs you to return to battle, or at least to let him lead your myrmidons, wearing your armour, to inspire the Greeks and turn the tide. You reluctantly agree, allowing him to wear your formidable, impenetrable armour. It's a calculated risk, a desperate measure, but one that tragically backfires. You believe your armor will protect him, will make him seem like you, an unassailable force, but the armor, like your own skin, only offers protection if you are Achilles, with your invulnerable body beneath it. It cannot magically transfer your unique gift. Patroclus charges into battle, a magnificent figure in your gleaming armor, and for a time, he succeeds in rallying the Greeks and pushing back the Trojans. But then, the fates intervene. Patroclus, emboldened by his success, pushes too far. Against your strict instructions, he is struck down, not by a lesser warrior, but by the mighty Hector, Troy's greatest champion. Aided by the god Apollo, your armor is stripped from his dying body, a final indignity. The news of Patroclus' death reaches you, shattering your resolve, transforming your proud and stubborn rage into a grief so profound, so cataclysmic, that it transcends all reason. This is the moment your world breaks, the moment your path to ultimate destiny becomes irreversible. This is the seed of your true undoing, not a physical wound, but an emotional one, deep and agonizing. The news of Patroclus' death strikes you like a thunderbolt, shattering the world you thought you knew. Your earlier rage, directed at Agamemnon and the injustices of the war, pales in comparison to this new, all-consuming anguish. Grief, raw and visceral, floods your senses, eclipsing all reason, all strategy, all memory of the invulnerability that once defined you. You fall to the ground, tearing at your hair, covering yourself in dust and ashes. The wails that erupt from your throat are not merely the lamentations of a man, but the cries of a demigod in the true agony, echoing across the plains, reaching even the ears of your divine mother, Thetis, deep beneath the waves. This is the ultimate catalyst, the pivotal moment that irrevocably seals your fate. Patroclus was more than a friend. He was your dearest companion, perhaps even your soul mate in the harsh, solitary life of a warrior. His death, particularly while wearing your armor, is an unbearable insult, a profound loss that transforms your previous petulance into a single-minded, unstoppable thirst for vengeance. All thoughts of withdrawal, of a life away from the battlefield, vanish in the face of this overwhelming sorrow. Your purpose is now singular to find and kill Hector, the slayer of Patroclus, regardless of the cost. Your mother, seeing your despair, rises from the sea. She tries to comfort you, but even she knows that your path is now irrevocably set. She reminds you of the prophecy that your own death will swiftly follow Hector's, but in your grief-stricken state, you wave away her warnings, dismissing the very fate she tried so desperately to avert. What is a short life, you reason, if it is lived without honour, without the solace of vengeance for your fallen companion? This is the depth of your despair. You are now actively courting death, or at least indifferent to it, as long as it comes after you have exacted your terrible retribution. Since Hector has stripped Patroclus of your divine armour, you are without proper battle gear. Thetis, ever the devoted mother, seeks help from the divine smith, Hephaestus, the lame god of the forge. Imagine the scene: the mighty Hephaestus, sweating over his anvil, crafting weapons and armour of unparalleled beauty and strength. He creates for you a magnificent shield, upon which is depicted the entire cosmos, cities at peace, cities at war, ploughed fields, dancing youths, the sun, the moon, and the stars. It's a breathtaking piece of artistry, designed not just for protection, but as a symbolic representation of the world you're about to re-enter, and ultimately leave. This new armour, forged by a god, is the ultimate expression of your divine favour, a magnificent, gleaming shell that encapsulates your fury. But even this divine armour, perfect and glorious, does not cover that one spot. It is made to fit you, the invulnerable warrior, and while it protects every other inch of your body with impossible strength, the design, perhaps intentionally, perhaps just by ancient convention, leaves your heel exposed, the Greeks, despite knowing of your overall invulnerability, would naturally include greaves as part of a full suit of armour for any other hero. But for you, the one truly invulnerable warrior, this protection for the most vulnerable spot is strangely absent in this God-forged set. It's a chilling detail, isn't it? The universe itself seems to conspire, in subtle ways, to ensure the prophecy's fulfillment. You return to battle, a figure transformed. Gone is the distant, slightly arrogant warrior. In his place is a terrifying force of nature, consumed by vengeance. Your presence on the battlefield alone sends shivers of fear through the Trojan ranks. You tear through their lines like a lion among sheep, seeking only one man. You cut down countless warriors, indifferent to their pleas, your heart hardened by grief. The river Scamander runs red with blood as you indiscriminately slaughter Trojans, filling its banks with corpses. It's a chilling display of raw, unrestrained power, born from the deepest well of sorrow. Historians still fiercely debate the moral implications of Achilles' rage in this phase of the war. Was his fury a justifiable response to the death of his beloved friend? A tragic but understandable human reaction? Or did it descend into something darker? A wanton slaughter that overshadowed his heroic deeds and painted him as a brutal, almost monstrous figure. Some argue that this period shows the destructive nature of unchecked grief and the fine line between righteous anger and unforgivable savagery. Others contend that his actions, while horrific, were a necessary evil in the context of ancient warfare and the severe honour code of the time. It highlights the complex, often uncomfortable, morality of heroic narratives. Your personal duel with Hector is inevitable. You chase him 3 times around the walls of Troy, a desperate, heart-pounding pursuit, before finally cornering him. Hector, despite his courage, is no match for your divinely fueled fury. He tries to make a pact, to ensure that the victor will return the loser's body for proper burial. But you, blinded by your rage, refuse. You want nothing more than to desecrate his corpse, to deny him the honours due to a fallen hero. It's a testament to the depth of your hatred, a raw, almost animalistic desire for suffering. The battle is swift and brutal. You strike Hector down, piercing his throat, the one part of his body not covered by the very armour he stripped from Patroclus. It's a darkly poetic moment, isn't it? The armour that once belonged to you, that failed to protect Patroclus, now also fails to protect Hector. You then tie Hector's body to your chariot and drag it 3 times around the walls of Troy, a public, brutal act of desecration intended to utterly humiliate the Trojans and their fallen champion. This act, while fulfilling your vengeance, deeply offends the gods, who value proper burial rites, and further solidifies the inevitability of your own demise. This act of desecration, however satisfying in your grief, is your moment of deepest hubris. You have not only defied a valiant enemy's last wish, but have also shown contempt for the very traditions and divine laws that govern both mortals and gods. You are operating outside the bounds of conventional heroism, propelled by a grief-fueled madness. This display of unchecked power and scorn for norm sets the stage for the swift and decisive intervention of fate. The gods, long observing your actions, are now turning their attention to your own reckoning. Your moment of triumph, of vengeance fulfilled, is also the moment the seeds of your doom are most deeply sown. You have avenged Patroclus, but at what cost to your own soul, and more pressingly, to your remaining time on earth, the prophecy of your impending death, once a distant whisper, now looms large, a shadow lengthening with every passing hour. You have done what you set out to do, but in doing so, you have moved inexorably towards your own end. The world seems to hold its breath, waiting for the final act of this tragic drama, knowing that the greatest warrior cannot escape the one tiny flaw that binds him to mortality. The air around Troy, once thick with the dust of battle and the cries of warring men, now feels heavy with a new kind of tension, a quiet anticipation. You, having avenged Patroclus and desecrated Hector's body, have retreated into a grim satisfaction. Your fury has been unleashed, your grief momentarily assuaged by the blood of your enemy, but the act of desecration, a step beyond what even the gods might easily forgive, has sealed your fate with even greater certainty. The divine eye is upon you, and the threads of destiny, once loosely woven, are now drawn taut around your life. The Trojans, their champion slain, are demoralized but not entirely broken. They find new hope, new allies. Among them is Penthesilea, the queen of the Amazons, a fierce and formidable warrior who comes to Troy's aid. You meet her in battle, and in a tragic twist of fate, you strike her down. As she falls, dying, you remove her helmet and are stunned by her beauty. It's a fleeting moment of humanity amidst the carnage, a brief flicker of regret for the life you have taken, underscoring the complexities of your character beyond mere vengeance. Then comes Memnon, the mighty king of Ethiopia, son of the dawn goddess Eos, a warrior as powerful and imposing as yourself. He brings a vast army to Troy's defence, and once again, you are at the forefront of the Greek resistance. The duel between you and Memnon is epic, a clash of titans that shakes the very ground. You emerge victorious, of course, slaying him and pushing the Trojans back. Each victory, each vanquished foe, adds another layer to your already colossal legend, but each also brings you closer to the inevitable. You are a conqueror, but also, unknowingly, a lamb being led to the slaughter. The city of Troy itself, however, remains impregnable, its walls unyielding despite years of siege and countless Greek lives sacrificed. The war has become a stalemate, a draining, bloody attrition. You have been fighting for years, witnessing friends fall, facing death countless times, yet always emerging unscathed. This relentless experience of invulnerability has perhaps made you even more oblivious to your singular weakness. Why would you focus on a vulnerability that has never, in a decade of war, been exploited is a logical, albeit ultimately fatal, assumption. And then, the moment arrives. It's not in the heat of a chaotic melee, not in a grand, climactic duel with a mighty hero. It's often in the most mundane, unexpected circumstances that fate chooses to play its cruelest hand. You are pursuing the Trojan prince Paris, a man known more for his beauty and archery skills than his prowess in close combat. Paris, the very man whose abduction of Helen started this whole bloody affair, and thus, indirectly, the man responsible for bringing you to Troy in the first place. There's a poetic justice, or perhaps a profound irony, in him being the instrument of your demise. Paris, aided by the god Apollo, a deity with a long-standing grievance against the Greeks, and particularly against you, given your previous defiance and desecration of Hector's body, takes aim. Is not a direct confrontation. You are focused on other things, perhaps on the retreating Trojan forces, perhaps on the chaos of the battlefield. The arrow is loosed, it flies through the air, a whisper of death, unnoticed amidst the din of battle. And then, it finds its mark, not your chest, where your divine armour would deflect it, not your powerful limbs, where your Styx-bathed skin would render it harmless, but that one, small, unprotected patch of flesh your heel. The arrow, guided by Apollo's divine hand, pierces it. Imagine the shock, the sudden agonizing pain that flares through your entire body, unlike anything you have ever experienced. For a warrior who has known no physical pain from weapons, this must be utterly disorienting, a betrayal by your own flesh. You stumble, perhaps a gasp escaping your lips. The invincible Achilles, brought low by a mere arrow, in the one spot where you were as mortal as any common soldier. It's an almost unbelievably cruel twist, a cosmic joke played out on the grandest stage. Scholars continue to debate the exact nature of Apollo's involvement in Achilles' death. Was the god merely guiding Paris's hand, enhancing his aim, or did he imbue the arrow itself with divine power, making it capable of bypassing your invulnerability even if it had struck elsewhere? This point significantly impacts whether your death was truly due to your vulnerability or a direct act of divine intervention that circumvented your protection entirely. Most interpretations lean towards Apollo merely guiding the arrow to your only weak spot, emphasizing the inescapable nature of your singular flaw. It's the ultimate example of a precise, almost surgical strike by fate. You fall, the greatest warrior of the age, brought down not by a mighty sword or a crushing blow from an enemy hero, but by an arrow, aimed at the one spot your mother's desperate love had left unprotected. Your comrades rush to your side, disbelief etched on their faces. They have seen you walk through fire, laugh off grievous wounds, and now you are felled by something so seemingly insignificant. The pain is immense, but perhaps even more crushing is the realization that washes over you in that moment. The prophecy, the one your mother tried so hard to outrun, has finally, tragically come to pass. Your heel, the very symbol of your unique origin, has become the conduit of your end. The wound itself, though small, is fatal. The arrow may have been poisoned, or perhaps the sheer shock and blood loss from a vital point, previously thought invincible, is enough. You struggle, perhaps trying to stand, to fight, but the strength drains from you, the invulnerable body, now completely compromised by this single, terrible breach. The battle rages around you, but for you, the world is narrowing, focusing only on the agonizing throb in your heel and the fading light. Your death sends a shockwave through the Greek and Trojan armies alike. The invincible Achilles, gone. It's a moment that changes the course of the war, but more profoundly, it reshapes the understanding of heroism itself. Even the greatest among us, the most divinely favoured, carries within them the seeds of their own destruction, often in the most unexpected and ironic ways. Your ultimate demise is not a failure of courage or skill, but the bitter fulfilment of a destiny woven long before your birth, brought about by the very act that sought to protect you. The foreshadowing was not merely a warning, it was a blueprint. The battlefield, moments before a symphony of steel and shouts, falls into a stunned, horrified silence. The greatest warrior, the invincible Achilles, has fallen. You lie there, sprawled on the dusty plains before the gates of Troy, a spear of an arrow protruding from your heel, a stark and brutal testament to the single, impossible vulnerability that has, at last, claimed you. It's a shocking sight, a scene that no one, not your most devoted Myrmidons, not the mighty Greek heroes, nor the awestruck Trojans, could have ever truly imagined. The immediate aftermath is chaos. The Greeks, propelled by a desperate mix of grief and fury, fight tooth and nail to recover your body. Your closest comrades, Ajax and Odysseus, are at the forefront of this brutal struggle. Ajax, a towering figure of strength, holds off the swarming Trojans, a living shield, while Odysseus, with his cunning and swiftness, works to carry your lifeless form away from the melee. It's a fierce battle over your corpse, a final, grim testament to the reverence and fear you inspired in life, even in death. You remain the central figure, the prize for which men are willing to die. Imagine the grim procession as your body is finally retrieved, carried back to the Greek camp. The laments that rise from the Greek tents are not merely for a fallen comrade, but for the loss of their greatest asset, their shield, their terror, the war, which you had so profoundly shaped, now feels fundamentally altered. How can they win without Achilles? The Trojans, for their part, Celebrate with a mixture of relief and renewed hope. The untouchable has been touched. The invincible has been conquered, and by a seemingly insignificant wound. It's a moment that ripples through both armies, altering the psychological landscape of the entire conflict. Your funeral rites are elaborate, fitting for a hero of your stature, your mother, Thetis, and the Nereids, her sea nymph sisters, rise from the depths to mourn you, their sorrowful cries echoing across the waves, the gods themselves, who have observed your life with a mix of admiration and exasperation. Acknowledge your passing, your bones are mixed with those of your beloved Patroclus. A final, poignant act of unity, ensuring that in death, you are never again separated. You will lay to rest on the shore of the Hellespont, a towering burial mound erected to mark your eternal resting place, visible to ships sailing past, a constant reminder of the hero who once walked these plains. Your death sends a powerful message, not just to the Greeks and Trojans, but to all of humanity. No one is truly invincible, even the strongest, the most divinely favoured, possesses a flaw, a vulnerability that can be exploited, often in the most unexpected and ironically precise ways, is the ultimate lesson in the inherent fragility of life. Regardless of one's power or prestige, this universal truth becomes indelibly associated with your name, giving rise to the very phrase we still use today, the Achilles heel. There's a significant academic debate about the precise morale impact of Achilles' death on the Greek forces. Did it truly plunge them into despair, or did it galvanize them into a final, desperate push for victory in honor of their fallen hero? Some scholars argue that while initially devastating, your death ultimately united the disparate Greek factions who, no longer relying on your singular power, had to find their own collective strength and cunning to win the war. Others contend that your loss was so profound it almost led to their complete defeat, and only the extraordinary stratagem of the Trojan horse, which was conceived and executed after your death, salvaged their fortunes. It's a complex interplay of human emotion, military strategy, and divine intervention. The immediate consequences of your demise are tangible. The war drags on, prolonged by your absence. The Trojans, temporarily relieved of your overwhelming presence, regain some of their fighting spirit. The Greeks, stripped of their most terrifying weapon, are forced to rely more on cunning and strategy than raw power. It is in this new, desperate phase of the war that the famous Trojan horse strategy is conceived by Odysseus. This grand deception, a testament to the power of intellect over brute force, ultimately leads to the fall of Troy. It's a bittersweet victory, achieved without your direct participation, yet directly stemming from the necessity created by your absence. Your story, however, doesn't end with your death. It truly begins its immortal journey. Poets sing of your deeds, sculptors carve your image, and playwrights weave your tragedy into their works. You become the quintessential hero, embodying both unmatched strength and profound vulnerability. Your name is whispered in awe and pity, a cautionary tale and an inspiring legend all at once. Every warrior who comes after you is measured against your standard. Every fatal flaw is likened to your heel. Consider the pervasive influence of your myth, even today, thousands of years later. When someone speaks of an Achilles heel, everyone understands. It's a common historical fact, something almost universally known, that signifies a hidden weakness, a fatal flaw in an otherwise formidable entity. From a mighty empire to a technological marvel, any critical vulnerability, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is compared to that tiny, mortal spot on your foot. This linguistic legacy is perhaps the most enduring part of your myth, a permanent marker of your tragic irony. Your legacy is not just about battle and glory, it's about the human condition itself. It's about the relentless march of fate, the limits of power, and the profound irony that often accompanies great gifts. You were touched by the divine, bathed in the waters of invulnerability, yet remain tragically, uniquely mortal in one small, crucial aspect. Your story is a powerful reminder that even our greatest strengths can sometimes blind us to our most critical vulnerabilities, making us reckless, or simply, tragically, unaware. Your echo across history is a lament and a lesson, whispered gently through the ages, long after the dust of Troy has settled. Your story, already epic in its scale and tragic in its conclusion, does not fade with the dust of Troy. Instead, it transforms, becoming something far greater than the sum of your mortal deeds. You ascend into the realm of myth, a figure whose life and death serve as a potent allegory for the human condition. The immediate impact of your fall gives way to a deeper, more profound legacy, one that transcends the battlefield and speaks to universal truths about strength, vulnerability, and the relentless hand of fate. The phrase Achilles' heel becomes more than just a reference to your physical weakness. It evolves into a timeless metaphor for any fundamental vulnerability or fatal flaw in an otherwise strong entity. It's woven into the very fabric of language, understood instinctively by generations who may know little else about the Trojan War. Imagine the power of a single phrase that can encapsulate such a complex idea. The idea that even the most formidable fortress has a weak point, the most brilliant plan a blind spot, the most powerful person a hidden frailty. This linguistic immortality is a testament to the enduring resonance of your tragic tale. Think about its application in the modern world. A cybersecurity expert might talk about a system's Achilles' heel when describing a critical vulnerability that could lead to a breach, despite layers of robust defences. A sports analyst might use the term to describe a seemingly invincible team's single, exploitable weakness. A business strategist might pinpoint a company's Achilles' heel as the one competitive disadvantage that could undermine its market dominance. It's a concept that applies across disciplines, transcending its ancient Greek origins to describe a universal phenomenon. Scholars often ponder the specific reasons why Achilles' heel, as opposed to other mythological weaknesses, achieved such widespread metaphorical status. Was it the irony of its origin, a spot left vulnerable by an act meant to confer invincibility? Was it the dramatic contrast between your overwhelming strength and this tiny flaw? Or was it simply the sheer power and longevity of the Homeric epic that enshrined your story in the Western consciousness? It's a fascinating study in the cultural propagation of ideas, demonstrating how a compelling narrative can give birth to a lasting linguistic and conceptual legacy. Your story also teaches a profound lesson about hubris, the excessive pride that often leads to a hero's downfall. Your invulnerability, while a gift, subtly nurtured a confidence that bordered on arrogance. You often acted as though you were above the rules, above the cautions that governed mere mortals. This is not to say that your heel was a punishment for your pride, but rather that your pride, stemming from your gift, made you less likely to guard against the very thing that could destroy you. It's a classic example of how a strength, when unchecked, can become its own undoing. Consider the psychological aspect. How does one live with a known, yet rarely relevant, vulnerability for much of your life? That heel was an abstract concept, a story your mother told, something that never truly impacted your daily experience of combat. You experienced invulnerability, you lived it every day. The abstract vulnerability of your heel, in contrast, must have seemed almost insignificant, too small to worry about amidst the grander concerns of battle and glory. This psychological blind spot, this deprioritization of a seemingly minor risk, is as much a part of your legacy as the physical flaw itself. The myth of Achilles also explores the inescapable nature of destiny and free will. Were you truly destined to die, regardless of your choices, or did your actions, your rage, your withdrawal, Your decision to return to battle accelerate or confirm a fate that might otherwise have been averted. The tragic paradox lies in the fact that the very act intended to save you, the dip in the Styx, also created the specific means of your destruction. It's a powerful narrative about how even desperate attempts to alter one's fate can, ironically, set the very conditions for its fulfillment. Beyond the specific flaw, your tale has contributed immensely to our understanding of the hero archetype. You embody the pinnacle of warrior prowess, but also the deep flaws and emotional complexities that make a hero truly compelling. You are not just a fighting machine, you are a son, a friend, a man capable of immense grief and terrifying rage. Your story reminds us that even heroes are fundamentally human, subject to human emotions and human frailties, no matter how divinely touched they may be. The legacy of your heel isn't just about vulnerability, it's about the cruelty of precision. It wasn't a general weakness that doomed you, but a single, almost surgical point. This highlights how life's greatest dangers can sometimes come from the most unexpected, tiny sources. It's a chilling reminder that strength in 99% of something doesn't guarantee safety if that 1% is critically exposed. Your legend continues to resonate because it speaks to a universal anxiety, the fear of the hidden weakness, the flaw we cannot see or refuse to acknowledge. It's a reminder to be humble, to be cautious, and to understand that even when we feel at our strongest, there might be a silent, unassuming spot that holds the key to our ultimate undoing. Your story is a profound, cautionary whisper through the ages, ensuring that the terrible foreshadowing of your heel will forever remain a powerful, enduring lesson. Your name, Achilles, echoes not just through the halls of ancient myth, but reverberates in the very language we speak today. It is perhaps the greatest testament to the enduring power of your legend. How a specific detail of your tragic story, that one small, vulnerable spot transcended its original context to become a universal truth. Your heel isn't merely a historical curiosity, it is a profound symbol, instantly recognizable, a fundamental weakness residing within seemingly insurmountable strength. It's a concept that has permeated our collective consciousness, a subtle background hum in our understanding of the world. Consider how often this metaphor is invoked, in casual conversation, in academic papers, in strategic discussions. The Achilles heel is shorthand for a critical flaw. It's used to describe everything from a country's economic dependency to a software security loophole, from a champion athlete's recurring injury to a politician's moral failing. This widespread application demonstrates the myth's incredible adaptability and its deep roots in human perception of vulnerability. It implies that no matter how impressive or powerful something appears, there is always a potential point of failure. This universality stems from the powerful irony at the heart of your origin. You were dipped in the River Styx, an act designed to make you invulnerable, to defy death itself, yet the very hand that held you, the very act of protection, created the single, fatal exception, this paradox that ultimate strength harboured its own. Hidden undoing is what makes your story so compelling and so relatable. It speaks to our own attempts to secure ourselves, to build impenetrable walls around our lives, only to find that life, or fate, has a way of finding the one overlooked seam. Academically, there is ongoing discourse about whether the concept of the Achilles heel truly existed as a common understanding of your vulnerability before Homer's telling, or if its prominence grew primarily because of its poetic and metaphorical power within the epic narratives. Some argue that the heel was a later addition or emphasis, specifically designed to inject a dramatic, ironic flaw into an otherwise invincible hero, thus enhancing the narrative tension and tragic arc. Others maintain that the legend of the vulnerable heel was an ancient folk tradition, simply captured and immortalized by the great poets, regardless. Its enduring power is undeniable, shaping how we perceive flaws. Your story also serves as a potent reminder of the dangers of over-reliance on a single strength. For you, that strength was invulnerability. It allowed you to fight with a ferocity and disregard for personal safety that no other warrior could match. It made you complacent about basic defensive measures, like properly guarding your lower legs. This over-reliance meant that when your one weakness was finally exploited, you had no contingency, no alternative strategy for survival. It was an all-or-nothing proposition, and tragically, it became nothing. The Achilles heel is also a profound lesson in foreboding and inevitability. From the moment of your birth, the prophecy of your short, glorious life haunted your mother. The very act of attempting to avert it created the precise mechanism of its fulfillment. This narrative thread reinforces the idea that some destinies are simply inescapable, that the universe, or the fates, have a predetermined path for even the mightiest among us. It's a chilling thought, isn't it, that no matter how hard you fight, how skilled you become, how divinely favoured you are, some outcomes are simply written in the stars. Ultimately, your myth transforms into an enduring metaphor because it speaks to a deeply human experience, the awareness of our own imperfections and the lurking possibility of failure. Even when we feel at our strongest, we all have our Achilles heel, a personal weakness, a professional blind spot, an emotional vulnerability. Your story gives a name to this universal truth, reminding us that true strength lies not in the absence of flaws, but perhaps in the wisdom to acknowledge them, to understand their potential impact, and to mitigate them where possible. Though for you, Achilles, that wisdom came tragically too late. Your legacy is a constant, gentle reminder that even the most gleaming armour has a chink, the most formidable wall a breach, and the most magnificent hero a single soft spot that can ultimately lead to their undoing. It's a whisper through time, urging us to look beyond superficial strength and to understand the subtle, often overlooked vulnerabilities that shape our lives. The enduring power of your legend, Achilles, isn't simply in the tales of your unparalleled strength or your furious vengeance. It resonates through the ages because of that singular, devastating detail, your heel. This tiny, overlooked vulnerability has become far more than a mere plot point in an ancient epic. It has transformed into a universal metaphor, a shorthand for the inherent fragility that underpins even the most formidable of entities. Your story teaches us that no matter how much we strive for perfection or invincibility, there will always be a critical point of failure, a hidden flaw that can lead to ultimate undoing. This idea, the Achilles heel as a concept, is now so deeply ingrained in our language and thought that its origins in your myth often fade into the background. It's used in boardrooms to pinpoint business risks, in medical diagnoses to identify predispositions, and in personal growth discussions to highlight character weaknesses. The ubiquity of this phrase is perhaps the most powerful testament to the timelessness of your tragedy. It suggests that humans across millennia have grappled with the same fundamental truth. Complete impermeability is an illusion. Think about the psychological impact of such a flaw. For most of your life, your invulnerability was a given, a superpower that defined your existence. You fought without fear of conventional wounds, charging headlong into dangers that would instantly fell others. This constant experience of being untouched must have built a deep-seated belief in your own immunity, subtly eroding any conscious awareness or concern for that one soft spot. It's a classic case of what we call confirmation bias. In modern psychology, you only saw evidence that reinforced your belief in invincibility, overlooking the one critical piece of counter-evidence that lurked in plain sight. While modern scholars generally agree on the metaphorical significance of Achilles' heel, there's a fascinating, ongoing academic discussion regarding how much Achilles himself was aware of his vulnerability. Did Thetis explicitly tell him? Did Chiron hint at it? Or was it merely an unspoken, divine secret that only manifested itself at the very end? Some interpretations suggest Achilles had a vague understanding, leading to a certain recklessness, while others argue he was truly oblivious, making his downfall even more tragic due to its sheer unforeseen nature. This ambiguity only adds to the myth's enduring appeal, allowing for diverse interpretations of your internal world. Your story also explores the complex relationship between destiny and consequence. Your mother's desperate act to secure your immortality paradoxically created the very means of your destruction. The prophecy of your short, glorious life hung over you, and every choice you made your withdrawal from battle, your return fueled by vengeance. Your pursuit of Hector inexorably brought you closer to that fated encounter. It's a poignant illustration of how attempts to defy destiny can, ironically, weave the threads of fate even tighter. The practical implications of your heel, beyond the myth, are equally profound. It teaches us the importance of comprehensive protection. A system with 99% security is still vulnerable through that 0.1% opening. A plan that accounts for almost every variable can still fail due to one unforeseen, unaddressed weakness. Your myth serves as a stark reminder that true resilience comes not from a singular, overwhelming strength, but from addressing every potential point of failure, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Ultimately, your legacy as Achilles is multifaceted. You are the embodiment of martial prowess, an unstoppable force, a hero whose name commands respect. But you are also the tragic figure whose fatal flaw became a beacon of universal truth. The very act of love that sought to protect you, in its beautiful imperfection, created the means of your demise. Your story continues to resonate, because it speaks to the hidden vulnerabilities within us all, reminding us that even the greatest among us carry a quiet, unassuming weakness, waiting for its fateful, terrible moment. It's a lesson whispered across the millennia, ensuring that the terrible foreshadowing of your heel remains an indelible mark on the tapestry of human understanding. And now, good night, and have sweet dream.